Hi there, my name is Brittany Koch and I'm here to present my Project Me, which is a representation of my knowledge and skills surrounding digital literacies and personalisation, and how this knowledge has transformed my pedagogical approach to teaching, my learning theories, and my lifelong professional development journey. As we move through this presentation, 4 key questions will be addressed separately. Firstly, why is it important that you and your future students are digitally literate and understand the impacts of their digital footprint? Secondly, how have developments in digital technologies enabled greater personalisation of learning? Thirdly, how have the theories of personalised learning informed your future planning and teaching? And fourthly, thinking about your own professional development, what does personalised learning mean for you as a lifelong learner and future teacher? So let's begin. Why is it important that you and your future students are digitally literate and understand the impacts of their digital footprint? We now live in a digital age where over time we create our own virtual being. The virtual story we create shapes our own digital footprint, which is permanent and everlasting. Our digital footprint is shaped around our digital interactions, capturing our social media presence, the apps we use, the websites we visit, the emails we send, and our online accounts and passwords. As we share in the digital space, we relinquish all control to the world in an untraceable manner, unable to determine where our data is shared or saved and what third parties are using it for. We have control over our own digital footprint, however are unable to truly control the online actions of others, whom can leave inerasable marks upon our own digital footprints. Whilst the immediate implications of a poor digital footprint may be minor, if we look to the future, it has the ability to have detrimental impacts upon all areas of our lives. Universities, future and current employees, and police and government organisations are constantly tracking our digital footprints, which can result in loss of employment, inability to gain higher education, legal ramifications, and an inability to travel overseas. We must learn to self-reflect before we self-reveal by making conscious decisions that respect our digital footprints and others. It is critical that as an educator, I place myself in an informed position that enables me to pass my knowledge and understanding of digital footprints onto the students that I teach. The digital space that my future students will engage in are far beyond what we know as today. It is therefore imperative that students truly understand what their digital footprint is and the impact it will have upon shaping their futures. From my perspective, it is important that I maintain a positive digital footprint for my future employees to see and students. My students are inevitably going to grow up in a digital age, with constant access to digital information, media and technologies that will connect them with information and the world. It is important that I develop students that are digitally literate, who can safely interact in the digital space and can connect, comprehend, and safely make use of digital information and technologies. ICT skills are considered essential skills for jobs of today and the future, making it imperative that our students have the digital literacy skills to be active participants in broader society. As current technologies and digital platforms advance and new ones emerge, we as educators are forced to continuously rethink how we can best prepare our students for the challenges and demands of the 21st century. It is argued by 2025 a number of today's jobs will be obsolete and totally new jobs will be created based around emerging digital technologies. We as ICT educators must remain digitally literate by constantly seeking to update our digital skills and knowledge. As we update our digital skills, we must redesign our learning objectives to allow our skills and knowledge to be passed on, helping to shape digitally literate students who have the capacity to safely engage in the digital world. How have developments in digital technologies enabled greater personalisation of learning? Personalised learning requires educators to gain an understanding of students' social and cultural backgrounds, individual needs, learning preferences and values, and to conceptualise their social, emotional, physical and academic development. Through gaining this understanding, it enables us to shape our curriculum and pedagogical approaches to meet the learning needs and preferences of each student. Through personalised learning, we begin to shift from a prefabricated and instructor-controlled curriculum to a pedagogical approach that empowers our students to become co-authors of their learning. In today's contemporary classrooms, continuing advancements in digital technologies are allowing for greater personalisation of learning. Digital technologies are enabling learning to be tailored in a scalable and sustainable manner that is cost-effective and that has shown to increase learning outcomes. Digital technologies are giving learners greater control over the path and pace of their learning, helping to facilitate greater inclusion and equity. Developments in learner analytics and the emergence of virtual and flipped classrooms are 3 examples of how digital technologies are facilitating greater personalisation. Underpinning the success of personalised learning is our understanding of each student's progress and attainments. The use of learner analytics are allowing us to understand these areas in a scalable way, enabling us to personalise learning in an accurate and timely manner. Learner analytics, in the words of Roy Pierce,
is about collecting traces that learners leave behind and using them to improve learning.
Learner analytics uses algorithms to help determine patterns in data to infer learner knowledge, intentions and interests, to predict what should come next, and provide insight into how the next step can be personalised to help optimise learning and the environment it occurs in. Whilst this is an emerging idea, it has shown to identify at-risk students and has helped to personalise learning in a way that has increased their academic performance. Virtual classrooms have emerged through the development of digital platforms such as Skype and Zoom, and are enabling greater personalisation through collaborative learning opportunities. Through the virtual realm, connections can be tailored to the learner's interests and needs, and can unite students with other teachers, students, experts and industries far beyond their context. Whilst virtual classrooms can provide greater personalisation for all students, for those who have English as an additional dialect, virtual classrooms are allowing connections to be formed with their native language and culture. Through these connections, support is provided to help personalise their learning in a way that meets their needs and preferences, whilst developing critical language and communication strategies and methods. Through such connections, virtual classrooms are shifting our role as educators from being facilitators to co-learners, as our teaching knowledge and skills are extended with and beside our students. Virtual classrooms are helping to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and deepen the learning experiences for all students. Flipped classrooms take on a you do, we do, I do approach, where students participate in the introductory content at home, commonly delivered through digital forms, leaving classroom time to be used in a productive manner to explore the application of skills and knowledge through interactive, collaborative and individual activities. A flipped classroom allows students to gain a greater responsibility for their learning, as they are able to work through the curriculum content at their own pace, returning to and revising as often as required. Flipped classrooms allow content to be tailored to meet students' individual needs and learning preferences. For instance, one student might be provided with a video, another a podcast, another an interactive tutorial-based game, yet each learn the same content. As students enter the physical classroom, they are able to apply their knowledge and skills through engaging in real-world inquiry-based questions and tasks that are tailored to meet their individual learning preferences. This approach provides more time in class for the educator to work individually with students, to provide scaffolding, and to personalise support to meet gaps in their knowledge and skills. Through harnessing the affordance of learner analytics and through the emergence of virtual and flipped classrooms, we are able to diversify the way we personalise learning through the use of digital technologies, providing greater opportunities for learner success. How have the theories of personalised learning informed your future planning and teaching? Theories of personalised learning have transformed my pedagogical beliefs. Personalised learning will help to encourage my students to take ownership of their learning, helping to develop critical self-regulatory behaviours that will help to increase student engagement and improve learning outcomes. As a specialist ICT educator, I identify the opportunities digital technologies provide in enabling greater personalisation and supporting the development of digitally literate students. I do, however, worry that through the rise of digital technologies, existing inequalities will be exacerbated, and instead of learning outcomes being increased through personalised learning, gaps will be widened between those who have access to digital technologies and resources and those that don't. I therefore want to personalise my students' learning in a way that is inclusive for all students by integrating contemporary digital technologies as well as more traditional and accessible resources. When I now consider developments in learner analytics and the emergence of virtual and flipped classrooms, there have been opportunities throughout my professional experiences for these to enable greater personalisation. On my third year placement in a composite Year 5-6 classroom, my educational philosophy was challenged. A summative assessment in mathematics was conducted through paper tests. Reflecting now, learner analytics could have been utilised to determine patterns in students' answers, to infer learner knowledge, and to develop predictions of what should come next. This would have transformed these tests into formative assessments that allowed summative assessments to be personalised according to the individual's needs and preferences, allowing alternative assessment options to be integrated. In the future, learner analytics offer unexplored opportunities for evaluation that will allow gaps in students' knowledge to be identified and will provide opportunities for learning to be personalised in a more timely manner. Through the use of learner analytics, I will have a strong data set that supports my decision-making processes, allowing for more accountability. However, as this is an emerging concept, many schools do not have access to such digital software, and pursuing learner analytics is not a cost most schools can wager in terms of time, experience, and money. The major challenge with integrating learner analytics is that most systems do not have the capacity to take into account contextual factors, resulting in generic outputs of data. Learner analytics, if implemented correctly, has the ability to allow for opportunities for greater personalisation that can improve teaching and learning respectively. A flipped classroom approach is an idea I have studied previously. Last year, during an inclusive education course, we were challenged to develop a modified lesson plan that accommodated for a child with a disability or impairment. Challenging myself to incorporate elements of my ICT specialisation, I looked to apply my knowledge of flipped classrooms to support a student with dyslexia. As content can be personalised to address the learner's needs and preferences, and learning can occur at their own pace and continuously revised, research indicated that a flipped classroom potentially meets the needs of dyslexic students. If we look at the lesson plan I established, it was embedded into an introductory lesson on remainders. Students in the previous lesson would engage in kinesthetic activities, reflecting upon their knowledge of division, providing them insight into the topic prior to the classroom being flipped. To flip the classroom, students would watch the interactive read aloud video, a remainder of 1. Students will be provided with physical copies of the book to follow and to respond to the narrator's scaffolding questions. Students would be encouraged to note or pictorially represent what they believe is happening to the protagonist and its links with division, and list where they have seen similar situations. Through this multisensory approach that links with the auditory and visual pathways of a dyslexic student, knowledge of the topic is activated prior to class, allowing learning to occur at the student's own pace. The application of this knowledge in the lesson would again take on a multisensory approach that links with the student's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic tactile pathways through an interactive game called a remainder ring. Through developing this lesson plan, I learned that a flipped classroom approach provides many opportunities for personalisation and it can allow my teaching to become more inclusive. Flipped classrooms allow learning to be personalised in a manner that addresses multiple learning styles and needs and gives students greater control over the path and pace of their learning. However, the success of a flipped classroom relies upon students having a sufficient self-regulatory skills that are usually not established until secondary school. A flipped classroom can also further the divide in access to learning, as not all students will have access to the same technological resources. Thinking about your own ongoing professional development, what does personalised learning mean for you as a lifelong learner and future teacher? Entering the teaching realm, I have the power to personalise my professional development in a way that will enable a lifelong learning journey. When I consider my learner personality, I would describe myself as a kinesthetic and tactile learner who learns best through doing. Therefore, as I begin to personalise my professional development, I will seek learning opportunities that draw upon my kinesthetic and tactile pathways. My ability to retain and apply the knowledge and skills that I gain and see improvements in student engagement and learning will indicate whether my professional development has truly improved my teaching practices. When I look at today's curriculum, I see content descriptors that were not addressed whilst I was at school, and I'm frightened by the fact that our curriculum is changing at such a rapid pace. As I look at the digital technologies curriculum, I recognise that I do not have the skills nor knowledge to teach my students about coding and algorithms, as I was never taught it at school and I have not learnt it since. To develop skills and knowledge in this area, I'll seek professional development opportunities that connect me with experts, businesses and industries that are utilising coding and algorithms. I was recently involved in the Teaching for Tomorrow program, which mirrors this professional development idea, as it provides pre-service teachers with the opportunity to work with industry partners to develop knowledge and skills in their field, and as a direct output, develop teaching units. Forming such partnerships with industries in the future will help further my professional development, allow curriculum objectives to be addressed, and will provide my students with authentic learning opportunities that develops critical skills for the future. The success of this form of professional development will be determined by my ability to develop authentic and engaging learning experiences that successfully transfer industry knowledge and skills and achieve curriculum objectives. I want to be an innovator in the field of education, and I want to support research into how digital technologies can support personalisation and enhance the learning experiences and outcomes for students with special needs. Scholarship of Teaching and Learning is an emerging movement that will support me during this process, as it invites teachers to implement developing educational theories into their practices and record and share their findings, successes and failures with their teaching community. This form of professional development will allow me to learn with and beside other teachers, and will provide an authentic platform for me to exchange my own philosophy and theories. Success of this form of professional development will not only be determined by my own teaching and learning improvements, but by the improvements experienced by other educators. I am devoted to my ongoing professional development, and throughout my career as an ICT educator, I will continue to update my digital literacy skills and knowledge by assessing changes in the digital space and how these changes are influencing the skills and knowledge required for success in broader society. To further develop my digital literacies, I will look to leaders in the field of ICT education, engaging in their seminars and workshops to further develop my understanding of what defines a digitally literate student, the skills and knowledge that they require, and the best pedagogical approaches to achieve these outcomes. My ability to take their ideas, transform my teaching approach, and further develop my own digital literacy skills and knowledge, as well as my students, will indicate how successful my professional development